What's up, Hobby Maniacs? Rob Bear here again today with a look at the new White Dwarf. This is issue 83, and look at that guy. It's the greater demon of Sigmar, the Lord Celestant himself, wielding the Galmaraz and the crazy comet scepter of ultimate doom. This guy looks really good. I am really surprised. This guy kind of came out of nowhere. He towers over so many models on the battlefield, and I mean, he really kind of harkens back to that whole like Nagash end times kind of feel that, you know, which just kind of came out of nowhere and really kind of launched us into that whole end times thing about, I guess it was about this time last year, give or take. I can't exactly remember for sure, but it was a really interesting time, to say the very least. So there's some ideas about exactly how big he is. You can kind of compare him to a lot of these models here. So you know that's a Stormcast, and it only comes up to there. And the Stormcast is definitely about that big. That this model is indeed pretty tall in and of itself. So really interesting stuff going on with that guy. You can check out the huge backpack right there. There's the Galmaraz and the Scepter, and there's two of these that come with the kit, so you can put them in either hand, kind of depending on how you want to pose them and things like that. And supposedly he's the very first king that Sigmar, or the very first guy that Sigmar gave the Stormclad power to. He was a powerful king in one of the realms. It doesn't exactly say, but this is the guy that was sleeping in the Forbidden Vaults that was always kind of like a doom and gloom like feeling was coming out of. So basically he just woken up, and he angry. He going after some people. So there he is right there, going up against the D-Thirster. So really interesting stuff. You know, didn't really expect him to kind of come out of anywhere there. And speaking out of coming out of completely nowhere is this new Citadel airline. And what's interesting about this paint here is that it actually wasn't put into syndication, meaning that distributors didn't get it. So it's direct only to what says here, some selected independent stocking. So obviously GW has the good list and the naughty list of their retailers, and I guess they offered it to certain retailers. So, you know, if you're in a city that has a large volume retailer, you might be able to pick this up at your local GW store. If not, you know, you might have to just order it from GW or perhaps a mail order company. Not exactly saying that GW is going to give it to a mail order company, but you know, somebody that does mail order. But you know, it's hard to say. This stuff, GW's trade policies. I could fill videos about Games Workshop and all that stuff, but regardless, you know, if you want to carry their stuff, you got to play their game, and you know, it's an interesting game. And you know, there's similar companies out there. You know, Reebok went to court for it. You know, with I think it was Finish Line or Foot Locker, one of them. You know, they were like, hey, we're just not going to sell to you. And they're like, what do you mean you're not going to sell to us? Well, you know, we don't have to sell to you. And it turned into a whole thing, and there's precedents out there. It's really interesting read if you ever have some free time and actually care about law stuff, you know, out there. So it's really interesting here in America how the laws actually don't really protect the people that are actually selling this stuff. It's very interesting. But anyways, we're not talking about that. We're talking about this new Citadel airline of miniatures. So now they have, you know, base paints, shape paints, layer and edge paints, technical paints, glazes, dries, and now the airs. So which is really interesting because you can kind of do all sorts of different effects. Now these are color matched to the actual, you know, layer paints and things like that themselves that are listed over here as well. So, you know, say you make a mistake, you can go back in and fix it with actual brush, which a couple of things are unclear at the time right now, whether these are just watered down versions of the actual paints themselves, or whether these are some sort of new formalizations to be atomized by the airbrush itself. Haven't got my hands on these, would love to get my hands on them, try them out, show you guys exactly how they work and things like that. But you know, that's a whole nother next week kind of thing. I'm not sure if we're going to get around to it, but definitely want to. It is on the list of things to do because I am very interested. I love paints. If I can turn the camera over to my right here, I have quite the stash of paints, you know, for doing commissions and doing my own personal stuff. And I don't use as many GW colors as I used to, just because the fact that their layers and their bases rather are really hard to push through the airbrush. Now I use an Iwata Eclipse, so does Kenny from Next Level Painting, and it's actually made to push acrylics, which is really cool. However, it doesn't, it's, you know, certain paints don't want to push. Like I have a hard time pushing some of the Vallejo Air metals through that particular paint, but I don't have a hard time pushing some of the Reaper metals through that paint. So when I do metals, I prefer to do Reaper metals through the airbrush. Now I would love to find some metals that worked well with my airbrush. So if these work well with the airbrush, you know, you're talking some really good looking colors here. Like what do we got? We got Runefang Steel, which is really good. Talaron Sand, it looks like, you know, Gold. Flash Gets Yellow is one of my absolute favorite yellows of all time. I love to mix that in with the greens, and this is really interesting to see that there is a really nice moss green right there. Might not use the green from Privateer as much anymore as well. So there's some really interesting colors here. You can see all the metals in front. So I'm definitely, you know, I'm definitely really interested to see how well these paints are. So I have high hopes for them. They're for same retail, $4.25. They come in a little dropper bottles. Not exactly efficient for what you're getting money wise. You know, I've said it before, some of the most expensive liquids on earth actually isn't gasoline or even booze. It's paints and printer toner, it almost seems like. Another miniature in the Citadel Hall of Fame, the Carnifex, and then kind of gets into the fluff of, you know, what's going on in the War of Life, kind of where they left off in the quest for Gal Maraz. Everything's kind of on hold, so to speak, kind of like what happened, you know, mini cliffhanger, like, hey, in the last book, they're like, hey, we found the Gal Maraz. Well, okay, let's go get it. And now they're like, oh, we're kind of fought to a standstill in the realm of life. All right, well, let's go figure that one out. Then they got the Golden Demon competition coming up. There's a whole bunch of those going on. Check your local, I guess it's over in England at Warhammer World. There's been a couple this year, so it seems like every couple of months there's one. Then there's the War Scroll for the Celestant Prime himself, which, whew, man, let me tell you, let's take a look at some of these stats here. So you got 8 wounds, which is really on par with a lot of the big baddies out there. 12-inch move, 3+ save, and 10 bravery. Obviously very good. You got the Gal Maraz itself. It's 2-inch range, which is really basically double than normal. 2 attacks to hit on 3s, wound on 2s, Ren neg 3, and 3 damage. Holy cow, right? So it is a single model, and he can fly. He also comes into play from on high, so basically deep strikes onto the battlefield, or they say just set him up. But for every turn that he isn't on the battlefield and he's quote-unquote set up in the celestial realm, he gets an extra 2 attacks to his profile for the Hammer of Sigmar, the Great Shatter itself. So which is really interesting because, like, say you leave him off for 2 turns, well, now he has 6 attacks, and then he's going to appear, and then he's going to charge something, and then it's just going to be brutal. You know what I'm saying? So then you've got the Orrery of Celestial Fates, a Storm of Celestial Energy. Once per turn, you can change the roll of 1 dice for the Celestant Prime to a roll of your choice before applying any modifiers. That one's pretty cool. And then the super powerful Comet Strike Scepter. In your shooting phase, the Celestant Prime can hold the scepter aloft and seize a comet from the heavens, kind of like He-Man, but not really quite as cool as He-Man. I suppose he wishes he was that cool. If he does, pick a point on a battlefield within range of the and roll a dice. Each unit within that many inches of that point suffers D3 mortal wounds. Wow, that definitely reminds me of the, what was it, the Comet of Cassandra, I think it was. It was like a crazy Bretonian power, like way back in the day, that basically did the same thing. So that has, you know, 24-inch range, the ability to straight smash stuff, you know what I'm saying? That's just ridiculous. Then it shows some stuff here for, you know, the Celestial, the actual model itself, like kind of some of the close-ups and things, like right here, the Orrery of a Celestial Fates, which is basically all this junk swirling around underneath him. Kind of shows you the close-up, and they did a little comments and things, stifling with the white scars, how they got that effect. No paint splatter article in this particular issue, which is kind of disappointing, to be quite honest, because you got this big bad MFer here, and you don't really know exactly how to paint it. But then again, they did have some Stormcast paint guides previously in the White Dwarf, so I figured maybe they're like, hey, we've already kind of showed you how to paint this guy, but here's some tips on how to do that. I don't know. Don't really know what to say there, but, you know, I feel like they had this really great opportunity to show you how to paint this guy, and, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe some of that trim. You know, the reds definitely look good, and he's got some patterns on his back. You know, maybe they're right. Maybe you don't need to do it. Maybe they could have just focused more on that. They'll definitely tell you how to assemble it here by doing some sub-assemblies, you know, putting little wires in there so you can grab it and then lock it in, and, you know, things that aren't going to be exposed. when you glue it all together and put it back together. So that's really interesting. I would definitely recommend at least basing it before you glue this thing down, because you don't want to be getting in there with grit and getting grit all over it when it's supposed to be like comets and stuff swirling around. So that's pretty much it for the White Dwarf itself. And then we get to the tantalizing teasers that came out really early last week. So you got Death from the Skies, New Tome Battle, and Raised Shields. A lot of people are saying that's a clear indication of the arrival of the Tau here in September 12th. I guess they would go on pre-order. Technically, this teaser would go into effect. Don't really know what to say. Kind of exhausted the whole, basically it's just a guess at this point. This really could go any way, but obviously Shields really doesn't have a place in Age of Sigmar. But is it a feature about Titans? Is it a feature about Tau? Does it necessarily mean that Tau are going to be released? Can't really say with any certainty, other than the fact that there's a lot of rumor folks out there saying that Tau are coming and they will be here in September. So hopefully that is true. If true, it'll be about 9 weeks of Age of Sigmar. Came out July 4th. Obviously, really interesting release date. We've covered that before, but nonetheless, definitely an interesting release date. So if that is the case and they are coming out, it would be about 9 weeks of Age of Sigmar. Maybe we'll see some more in the future, maybe not. It's hard to say at this point, but nonetheless, it's been fun. I really enjoy Age of Sigmar. Before you hate on it, at least play a game. See how much fun you have. It is not 8th edition. Keep that in mind when you're playing. Just keep your mind open. You might have fun. You might not. Hey, maybe it's not your bag. Sell off your fantasy armies, whatever. Can't hate on that. You got to do what you got to do, I suppose. But I'm a big proponent for giving the Age of Sigmar a chance, because I think it is a really fun game. At least I enjoy it. Hopefully you do as well. So that's about it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you stay in the trenches, subscribe to this YouTube channel, check out the blog, SpikeyBitsblog.com, and head on over to the longwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content and early access videos. Become a veteran of the Long War today.